Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be making a Himitsu Bako, otherwise known as a secret box or a puzzle box. These boxes were developed around about the turn of the 18th century in the northern region of Japan in a place called Akune, and they were generally given as a gift, and if you were lucky to receive such a gift you might have been lucky to find inside a lucky charm. Now these boxes were made in such a way that you had to figure out how to open them up. Now for this box there's only two ways to get in it, but some of the boxes invented by the Chinese had a staggering 1500 ways of getting in before you can access what was inside. 1500 manoeuvres, just think about that. 1500 pulling this, pushing that, poking this, twisting that, twisting that. Anyway, let's see how we can get in this one before we move on to make our hole. If you have a good look around it, there's no obvious means of entry. All sides are identical. But there is a way, and this is how you do it. Pull that there, you will find a little drawer. Handy for maybe keeping your earrings in, your rings, necklaces, maybe a love letter, who knows. And you will notice on this that there is a protruding peg here. That is part of the lock, and I'll show you how that works later on in the video. To access the bigger drawer inside of this, because this one contains two, all you have to do, pull this one out here, and as you can see, another long peg which also acts as a lock. To open the drawer you just push your thumb against here. There you will find a bigger drawer, and if you're keeping your USB drive in with your spy files on it, maybe your secret pictures of your girlfriend, boyfriend perhaps, maybe that you don't want anybody to see. Basically just goes again back in, replace the lock and replace that, and again you can't really tell how it was opened otherwise. So enough of that, let's move on to making our own. We will start with the base and the top. Now the base and the top are constructed in very similar fashion. We have a 8x8 plate, a 4x8 plate and another 8x8 plate, which basically lie side by side. Now on the base you have a 2x10, a 1x2, a 2x10, a 1x3, 2x10, 1x3, 2x10, 1x2, 2x10, all flat plates. And if you look at the top, it's identical, sort of. There is a difference here. On the base, these all sit underneath the plates. On the top, they sit on top of these plates, as you can see. On the top as well, you will also notice that on the edge here, there is a 1x4 plate which sticks right there, equidistant from these edges, right on the very edge. There is a reason for that, which I will explain in a short while. Now let's have a look at the anatomy of the base. Just take that and take that. You'll be able to see all these are totally smooth tiles. Basically these are the runners for the drawers, so that they can slide in and out without binding on these studs here. And as you can see, we've got a 1x6 here, 2 in from that edge in the middle, a 2 gap, another 1x6, 1x8, 1 in from that edge and that edge, another 1x edge with a gap, 2 more 1x8s side by side, another 1x6, a 1x4, a 1x4, both again 1 in from the edge, and on this edge here a 1x6 black plate. Now this colour must reflect the base plate, so if your base plate's yellow, that must be yellow. And we also have one here, which is a 1x6 black tile, again to reflect the base. Like I said, if your base was yellow, that would have to be yellow. There's a reason for that, in that once the box is assembled, if these were a different colour, it will be immediately obvious where the openings were, which defeats the point of a secret box. The 1x6 here is 2 in from that edge, right up to the edge. And on here, equidistant from the ends, again flush up to the edge here. We also have 2 1x2 smooth tiles here, one there and one there. They will form part of the locking mechanism, which is why they're on now and won't be put on after. We have here a 1x4 standard brick that butts up against here, equidistant from the edges, as you can see. We also have this little bridge, which is made up of a 2x4 flat, a 2x4 flat, a 1x2 flat and a 1x2 flat, and it straddles this part here, pushes up against that edge there, clicks into place. You need to make sure that when we're making this box, everything is tight and nice and flush, because otherwise it will not work. So there we go. Put that to the side. We can now move on to the next bit, which is one of the ends. That is the end, which sits against that there, and we construct this by using, just remove that carefully, 2 1x6 flats click together with a 1x6 technique, 1x6 technique, 1x6 technique, a 1x6 flat on the top, and also a 1x4 flat which sits in the centre there with a single standard peg number 2780 bang in the middle. That goes there, nice and tight. We can now move on to the back, which is this part here. And the back is constructed in such a fashion, we have just them pieces there. These two are identical, and again 1x6 flat, 1x6 flat, 1x6 technique, 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 1x6 flat, just one on top, with standard size pegs, spaced like so, end, middle, end, middle, end, nothing for the middle brick. We have 2 of those. We can now place one at that end, sorry, one there, 2 in from the end, one there, 2 in from that end, and we now have this interesting little piece here, which is 1x4s, 1x4 flat, 1x4 flat, technique, 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 1x4 flat with standard pegs, which slots into there. We can now connect these using 2 1x8 flats, which join that to that, and we can connect that to that there using that. Now to move on to the front part, which is almost identical to the back, but there's a difference. Again, we have the 2 1x8 flats, and we have 1x6s, except we only need one of these this time. And again, 1x6 flat, 1x6 flat, technique, 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 just one 1x6 flat with studs, pegs, just at the ends this time, not in the middle here, because this is part of the locking mechanism. That sits just there, 2 in from this end, and we have our 1x4s again, constructed identical to the one on the back, 1x4 flat, 1x4 flat, technique, 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 1x4 flat, standard pegs. And they go there, pushing up against this 1x6 smooth tile here. We can now add our 1x8 flat to that end, and one to this end, which overhangs to form part of the drawer front. Now, we need to make corners. So let's set about making some corners, and here we are. this is what the corners look like. We need to have 2 identical pairs. So we've got them and we've got them, and these are constructed with a 1x2 flat, a 1x2 flat, technique, 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 a 1x2 flat, then a corner plate number 2420, which goes on to the top. And these can now be placed onto the box. So place that one there, connect your L plate, that one there, connect your L plate, and same at this end. You don't need to take the L plate off, just slot it into place like that. You need to just turn that one around to its right place, so it looks like that. Now we have some additional pieces we need to make, which are these little beauties. We have 8 of them all together, and I'll show you how to make one of these. They're all the same. We've got 1x2 flat, 1x2 flat, 1x2 flat. Click them together. 1x2 technique, 1x2 technique, 1x2 technique, and the top 1x2 flats. 3 of them. One there, one on top, one on top. Now you might be wondering why I don't just use a standard brick. Now there's a reason for this, and that is when it's assembled, if these were standard bricks, you would see immediately how to open the box, again defeating the object of a secret box. So we make them that way for that reason. Now we can attach these, and the easiest way to do this is to work on a 2x10 at a time. So take a 2x10 flat off. Might be a little bit tricky on the corners at first because they're a little bit wobbly, because it's not all locked in together. You just basically that all onto them pegs. Dead simple. Do that like that, and one for the opposite side. Attach your plate. Make sure again all nice and tight. We don't want any loose parts. We can now move on to the next one, which is that. Now you need to remember which way your smooth tile goes, and for this we only need to do just one side. So we'll put that there and reattach the plate. It would help if I attached it in the right place, which is there. And put that where it belongs. See, even the best of us can make a mistake. There, like that. Nice and tight again. Move on to the next one. Take it off. Attach a piece onto that side and a piece onto that side. Reattach your plate. On this one here again, we only need to do the one side, so take it off. Remember which side your smooth tile goes, and affix that one into place. There. Oops, a little bit fell off. Such is the nature of Lego. On that point about things falling apart, if you're going to be making this box as a permanent feature or permanent toy, then I strongly recommend you glue the pieces together, because if people try to get in this, Lego is inherently weak, and with a bit of fiddling they can basically just break it open, which is what you don't want. If you glue it together, it's much more structurally sound, and there's less chance people will be able to force their way into it without you knowing they've been inside it. Just replace that bit there which just fell off and go towards the end now, and again just click on, click on and reattach your 2x10 flat. Again, make sure it's all nice and tight. Don't want any loose pieces, especially loose pieces which fall off. We can now move on to the drawers. Put that to one side, and we will start with the small drawer. Dead simple to make. You've got basically a 1x6 Technic, another one, and a 1x6 smooth tile on top with a 1x2 normal plate there in the corner with standard peg, standard peg, standard peg, standard peg, standard peg. But on this one we've got one of the longer pegs, number 6558, which protrudes through this end, and that forms part of the locking mechanism. Let's put that to one side while we work out how to build the rest of it. So just take these apart for you. You'll be able to see how it's constructed. Dead easy. We've got here a 4x4 plate, a 2x3 plate and a 2x3 plate. Pushed up together like that. And here we've got a 1x6 Technic brick which goes up to that end there. Gap at the end there. We've got a 1x2 standard brick, goes there like so, and on that side again a 1x6 Technic brick. We also have here for the end a 1x4 Technic brick with a 1x2 brick that just clips like that. Take our 1x4 Technic brick, clip it there, a 1x1, clip it to the end. Same on that side, 1x4, 1x1. And on the top, 1x6, another 1x6 Technic brick. And basically these just go together with this corner, pushing up against there like that. Just clip it all together nice and tight. There we have our little drawer. So, onwards and upwards, big drawer. Again, fairly straightforward to build. On the base you've got a 6x, I think that's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6x8 plate with a 6x4 plate. Now this could have been a 6x6, but it doesn't really matter, it's not too important, so I've just settled for a 6x4. You'll notice that's a different colour to that. That's because it doesn't matter what colour that is, it's not going to be seen once it's inside, but it's imperative that this colour is black and reflects the rest of the edges here, so it's not obvious where the drawer is. The front of the drawer, simple, 1x6 Technic, 1x6 smooth tile with a single standard peg right in the middle, like so. And this part here, I just take these off. These are 1x8 smooth tiles. And this side is built identical to this side, so I should just take apart this side to show you how it's built. We've got here a 1x12 Technic brick which overhangs that end by 2 in from that end, with a single 1x1 brick at the end there. This piece here is just 2 1x4 bricks that just slot there. Can now move on to putting the next piece on, which is 1x4 Technic with a 1x1 brick followed by a 1x8 Technic. And this 1x6 standard brick here straddles to lock these sides together so they don't wobble. Can now affix a 1x2 Technic brick, a 1x10 Technic brick, and our smooth 1x8s right up to the end here. These will stop the drawer binding against the roof of the box as it opens and closes, and one there. And again, just basically clip that to the front there. Move them out of the way and I'll show you how to assemble the roof, which looks like that. We've seen it earlier, but you will notice I mentioned about the one before, which sits against the edge here, and that's so it fills this gap here. Just push it on. Again, make sure it's all nice and tight. Check for any gaps around the edges. Let's see one there. Squeeze them together, all nice and tight. Like I said, I recommend gluing this together if you intend to keep it as a permanent feature or you intend to be using it a lot. Where can I place the drawer in the front? See, you can see it's binding, and that's because something is obviously protruding and stopping the drawer going inside. Need to make sure everything is nice and flush. Which means it goes in this time. Yep, there you go, all the way in. And the way this works, when I put this drawer back in here, this little piece sticking out here will lock into this hole here at the very end of the box, stopping the drawer pushing forward. So you can push that in there like that. Actually, there's a good time to show you the piece that goes here and here before I put that in. And you'll see we've got two more pieces similar to the pieces you made before, but they are slightly different. They're made up of two 1x2 flats, 1x2 brick, Technic 1x2, 1x2, two 1x2 flats, standard, but on top a 1x2 tile, smooth tile. That's got to be smooth so it doesn't bind, and that will go in the middle of here, like so. So that, when you push it all together, it looks just like the others. And this one here goes into this piece here. This long peg will pass through that side and again will lock into the side of this little drawer here. And that just basically pushes in there like that. Once again, to open it, just pull that out. Can't move that. Maybe nobody knows there's another drawer in there. To access that door, we pull that. And this is why I recommend gluing it together. As you can see, that peg has got caught in there, and really it should be pulling out at the same time as that. If nothing else, glue the long pegs into place so that they're efficient every time they work. Again, just push your thumb like that, and there we go. One Himitsu Bako secret box. There's no discernible, obvious means of entry. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please continue to keep a lookout for future ideas, games, puzzles, and if you subscribe, maybe the odd free treat. Thank you very much and goodbye.